Hey, thanks for checking out the video. I recently went out and bought a new driver, and on the bottom of the driver, it had a whole bunch of different adjustment settings. So I reached out to the Golf Doctor on Twitch, and he was nice enough to meet with me virtually in this video, and just kind of he walks me through all of the different adjustments, and he helps me tweak it to better suit my swing. If you've never heard of the GolfDogtor, please check out the description. He goes live on Twitch every Sunday, and you can submit a video of your swing. He does an on-the-spot assessment, and he reviews your swing, and then he kind of gives you recommendations of things that you can do to alter and better your swing. Yeah, super cool guy. So check the links in the description to his Discord, which is an awesome place to ask questions. Or if it's nearing Sunday, check out his Twitch and get some live feedback there. So throughout the video, we talk about, what happens when you increase and decrease loft, what happens if you shift the weights forward or backwards on the head of your club. And the conclusion of the video is pretty interesting. So I hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks.
Start by hitting a few of your old driver, and then and you don't have to hit like a ton of them, but just try to hit them until you hit one that not necessarily like, oh, this is really good for my driver, like just one that's like, yeah, that is like the best summary of my driver.
All right, my old driver, a good summary was probably a carry of 200, roll out to like 230. That carry 215, rolled out to like 224. Yeah, 4,900 backspin. That's basically 5,000. So yeah, that actually, I mean, the backspin's a little high, but the carry and stuff is actually pretty normal.
Okay, and you actually hit that perfect on the face too. You had a good smash factor. Go ahead and hit the Cobra in standard, and
Yeah.
right now you'll have like you said, you have the weight closer to the face. That's probably where I would want you to put it anyway. But so let's start it there, and then if we need to move it back, we can.
I have noticed, and maybe this is a mental thing, but this driver has a crazy fade on it that my other driver doesn't have.
That might be a mental thing.
So that one was 3,600 backspin, 17-degree launch angle. Carry was 230, distance was 250. Dead straight, but it didn't feel like it was.
That's okay. So one of the things that there are people have gone through the lengths to make like really confusing charts to help sort of optimize this. They call them optimized charts. So if you ever get bored, you can always look them up. But essentially, at your current ball and club head speed, you should be your goal out of a driver would be kind of looking more like a, I guess 240 would be the higher end on a carry, and to 67, kind of that 270 range on the total. So really overall, just that's kind of where we know, like, okay, this is what we're capable of, so we can try to alter some things to try to hit that point. That's kind of where you go. And in some cases, you get even more than that for whatever, sometimes you get more carry or more total or whatever that case may be. I usually try to mess around with the carry mostly because the carry you can trust, whereas like the total, you could play a wet course or a dry course and it's going to be different either way. So
Gotcha.
Overall, with where everything is right now, and again, this is ignoring our ball flight, and we can do things afterwards to try to tune that up. But in terms of just what the club is spitting out, you're looking at, probably wanting to see if we can lower that spin even more if we can. As for launch angle, I like where it's at now, so that's good that we can kind of move that around if we have to. We can move it up or down if we have to. But overall, I like where that launch angle is. But the spin, I would say we should still try to see if we can get that down a little bit, and I think that might be able to get you a few more yards in that. So let's start by since we do have a little bit more wiggle room. Let's go down on the loft. So if you want to change it from standard to the -1 setting, which is good to know because then, if you start to do that more, then you might find now I'm hitting these way too high. So then it's good to know that you can tune something back down if you need to.
That one felt like a really good hit.
Okay.
Let's see what it did. Carry 224, rolled out was only to 240. Backspin still 4,000.
Okay.
Launch angle was 16. I feel like that's lower.
Yep, that one's lower. So you got your spin stayed up there a bit, but then you did get the launch angle a little bit lower. We're starting to get into a little bit of a dangerous range, but let's crank it down one more. And now, normally I don't like to kind of mess with anybody's swing too much, but I do want you to try and mess around with what I mentioned of getting a tiny bit more spine tilt at impact, because I think that it's going to bring your launch angle back up from what we're lowering, but it's going to bring your spin way down.
So tilt my spine backwards towards the camera. Lean back.
Yeah, lean back.
Lower.
One of my favorite moves to kind of illustrate it is if you take your right arm off your club and just let it rest on your side, and then tilt your spine until like your fingertips are touching your knee, or about that range.
Dude,
and then
so far.
Yeah, so tilt until your fingertips are touching your knee, and then regrip the club from there. That's kind of where you essentially want to be at impact. So you don't have to go ahead and take a swing, locked into that position. But that's just kind of a good way of telling your body like, oh, okay, this is my goal. Oh yeah.
I'm definitely leaning back. I need to fix that, but I don't. The weight's on the back foot, but that tilt is definitely there. Backspin was 2,600. I don't know what smash factor really means. Like, is a 1.4 good? I don't.
Yeah, you can't get better than a 1.5. That's basically all you need to know about smash factor. So essentially, this short summary version is that it should be as close to 1.5 as possible. If it's anything less than 1.5, then that tells me that you didn't hit it in the center of the face, and like you didn't get all that one.
What should a backspin be around?
Ideally, if you are really truly trying to like maximize your distance as best you could, the rule of thumb is like 2,000.
2,000?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at like 5,000?
Yeah.
Oh
so
my God.
That's why I told you it was good that you bought a new driver.
Because that last hit I just did was 2,700.
Yeah, and I would say for you, I would just try to set a goal of, whenever you're practicing, to always keep it under 3,000. You mentioned that you feel like that one's been fading a lot more, and I'm guessing you don't really love that necessarily for ball flight.
No.
Okay. So now I want you to keep it on the lower loft settings, because for two reasons. One, the lower loft we go, the lower spin you should be getting. But also, if we lower your loft, then I think it's going to encourage you to try to work harder at getting this spine tilt. So if you feel like you're hitting it lower than normal, then you're going to want to work harder at trying to swing up on the ball. So so let's keep in the lower loft setting, but now I want you to try out the draw setting. So essentially that draw setting now, as opposed to like if you had an old driver and you saw a draw setting, they would be doing two totally different things. But in this case, this one's actually just going to be affecting the lie angle. So that's why.
Backspin 2500, smash factor 1.4, launch angle 21. We dropped the loft on the club for two reasons. One, we were trying to bring the launch angle down, and two, we're trying to influence a lower backspin.
Right. So yeah. So when I see someone who's just got like tons and tons of spin, I can put them in a low lofted head. I can get any sort of weights moved to the front. I can put them in a crazy low spin, low launch shaft, um, and then I can take all of that and then set it into the lowest loft setting, and then that's about as low as we could possibly go for spin. And then at that point, if the spin is still too high, um, then it's a swing thing.
Gotcha.
So essentially, where we're at right now is we've basically approached that. So that's one thing I just want to point out in general about club fitting, is that if anyone's on the fence of like, oh, should I get fit for clubs and then take lessons, or should I take lessons and then get fit for clubs? I always say get fit for clubs first, because those are truly fit to you, and then you can fix your swing. Now, in this case, though, this is like where I'll kind of contradict myself in that I think if I were fitting you to a driver, I would put you into this driver, right? So I would say, okay, this is someone who's got a high launch, high spin tendency. So I'm gonna get them into a forgiving driver that's low launch and low spin. So in a way, I probably would have fit you into this driver, or at least something really similar. So I mean, you can be happy about that for sure.
Okay.
But then in terms of a fine tuning perspective, there we can try to fine tune as much as we can, but then at some point we have to we can't go much further. So in this case, I would say you're missing out on some distance and some accuracy, and there's not much we can do with the club right now.
Okay.
As opposed to if you made a couple changes as part of your swing, then there's more we could fine tune from there. All right, so I think overall then let's leave it in the draw. I think you got your best numbers in the draw -1 setting.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it in there. And then instead of having the club close for you, which is what the higher loft settings would do, we'll have you just try to work more towards closing that face. But like I said, I think the more you work on that feeling of bottoming the club out, so that way it's swinging up and starting to close into impact, is going to really help you just overall with a lot of the things that we're seeing in the swing in general. So basically, to summarize though, for your swing personally, we got to work on swinging up on it more. We want to see a slightly closed, or at least anything closer to square. But I think in your swing personally, we're gonna see a lot more benefits with the closed face, because then if your tendency is already to fade it, that it'll give you more of a pull fade. And then I want your long-term goal to be more that you're comfortable with whenever you swing, that your weight is always finished on your front leg. And then to summarize, I guess, with what the club itself does, the weight on the bottom, that one we didn't end up moving today, because the forward position is the position that you go to if you need low spin and low launch. So that is the ideal position for that case. Now,
Okay.
so I would say, I mean, also another thing to just mess around with as you work and get more comfortable with that driver is, if you feel like you're finally getting your spin and your launch a lot lower, then maybe pop the weight in the back and then see if you like it better, because the weight in the back is going to be a lot more consistent.
So in conclusion, you saw that I have an abnormally high backspin, and that's something a club head can't fix with the adjustment settings. So you saw, the GolfDogtor recommended a couple tweaks I need to make to my swing that'll hopefully alleviate that backspin issue. And then I actually ended up de-lofting my club. The club head comes standard at 9, but I'm going to be keeping it at an 8 draw setting to kind of help fix a couple things that I have. But I'm going to continue to work with the GolfDogtor, and hopefully we can get that swing figured out. And I got really, really lucky that the club that I bought happened to be a big step in the direction of the type of club that I need, that being de-lofted and a shaft and everything that helps promote low spin where that is my issue. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, please check out the GolfDogtor on Twitch and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos. But anyway, thanks for checking out the video. Peace.